Hey, yo, what's good with everybody, man? I hope everybody's having a productive day, feeling blessed. And like I always say, it's one life, one chance. We only got one chance to do this right. Let's get it done. That being said, man, you see this face on the thumbnail. Unfamiliar face, but we're going to put him on blast today for the crimes that he's being charged with, the crimes that he's committed. And in this video, I'm going to make a plea. I'm going to say it out there. And I know a lot of people are going to get mad for what I say because a lot of people expect me to stick to the code, to this G code, because I do gang content. What I really don't. None of that matters to me no more. What matters to me is that the victim in this crime gets the justice that she deserves. But in order to receive this justice, because of the laws and the lack of evidence concept that applies in this law, make it easy for these guys to dodge these kind of cases and dodge these kind of convictions. You'll hear my point right now when I get into this video. So let's get right into it. We're talking about Santa Barbara County. But if you look at this face right here, this man right here, Damien, from somewhere called Isla Vista, he knew the victim. Him and the victim were aware of each other, were friends for a very long time. So they knew about each other, they knew of each other, used to hang with each other. But somehow, some way, his predatory behavior and his predatory thoughts kicked in, and he took advantage of a person that he knew the most. A woman who was a friend to him. He took advantage of her. Held her hostage in an apartment. I don't know if it was his apartment or somebody else's apartment or whether it was her own apartment. For hours. While he beat her, assaulted her, raped her for hours. She was scratching, she was kicking, she was fighting him off. She almost escaped one time. And he dragged her from outside back to the hotel, and witnesses seen it. Took her back into the apartment and continuously, assaulted her again for hours until she managed to escape yet again, this time calling 911. He was apprehended the same night in the same apartment. But that is a scary thought, knowing that you have friends. A woman can have friends that are guys, and this is what it leads to. Yes, you're going to hear this crazy narrative that oftentimes when a girl has guy friends, they just want guy friends to have guy friends because guys can be fun. But there's always a guy friend that wants to sleep with her, that wants to take it beyond the friendship because he wants to get his little issue. Now, you got a scenario where a guy was friends with a girl, started getting these sexual urges, and instead of pursuing her like a real man should, trying to take her out on a date, he took it from her. Sexually assaulted her in an apartment for hours. Now, can you imagine the kind of trauma that does to a woman? First of all, the assault in itself is painful, it's traumatic, it's devastating, it's hurtful. But to do it for hours, and then she escapes thinking she's going to finally get away from this pain and this misery of this man's company. And then he catches her outside, drags her back into the apartment, and continuously does it again. So we're talking about hours of this man forcing himself on his woman, and she's fighting both times, and he does it again repeatedly till she finally is able to escape. Now, to me, that is a survivor. That is a strong survivor, and I'm very sorry that happened to you. Very sorry that happened to you. What sucks to know is that authorities are aware, due to the surveillance footage that was in the apartment complex, that people seen it. People seen him chase her and drag her back to that apartment. So they know that there's witnesses that need to come forward, but no witnesses have came forward to talk about it. Why is that? It's because snitches get stitches concept that goes around by these gang members that promote it. I don't know if this dude's a gang member or not. I'm not saying that. And I can care less if he is. But witnesses shouldn't be afraid to come forward when a woman has been assaulted in such a nature. Now, the annoying thing about this case in particular, well, in all cases in particular, is that every time I do a video like this, everybody has this crazy perspective that they have to point out. Hey, bro, it's hard to believe these kind of cases when there's been cases where women have accused men of rape and it wasn't true. But we're going to stop banking on that because the court system does rely on evidence to prove it. And if they've been wrongfully convicted or they've been exonerated of the charges or the cases were dismissed and it comes out that she lied, then so be it. We're not going to penalize every victim that gets sexually assaulted because a couple of women did it to try to get back at their exes, or we're in toxic relationships, or we're toxic people. We're not going to do that because there's a lot of women A lot of women that get sexually violated daily, every year, and it really happened to them. So don't sit there and put them women down and dismiss them women because other women have done it wrongfully for all the wrong reasons to try to put a man in jail because she loved him and didn't want to see him with anybody else, or she hated him that much that she was willing to pin charges on him. Every case factor is on an individual basis. We're going to identify every case factor in its entirety, but on an individual basis per case. Not just because 4 cases of women accuse men wrongfully. Oh man, we can never believe none of these other victims that are victims of sexual assault. Especially this. A woman that fought for her life for hours. For hours. And you can see he had wounds. He had scratch wounds on his arms. His eyes looked beat up. He didn't get assaulted by the cops. She put up a fight. She put up a fight to save her life and to get away, because most times a lot of our cases that I read a lot of death row cases. Some of these cases start off with a sexual assault and end up in murder because they're trying to cover it up what they did. So this could have went a hell of a lot of different ways, but she fought for her life, and whoever she is, man, I'm proud of you. I'm sorry that you went through what you went through, but I'm proud that you put up a fight and you called the cops. So this is what he's incarcerated for. Rape, hostage, kidnapping, and refusing to let a person call 911. And now, like I said, there's proof in the investigation that witnesses seen it and haven't came forward yet. And I think that's very wrong of them. I'm not sitting here criticizing them, but I'm hoping that they do the right thing. Because a woman needs justice, because these cases like this are often convictions or dismissals due to lack of evidence. Lack of evidence. That's how lenient this law is when it comes to these kind of cases. You better have enough evidence to convict somebody, or they're going to dismiss it due to lack of evidence. Because truth of the matter is, yes, this is a violation of a law. A big violation of a law. A law that everybody frowns upon. A law that, a committing offense that's very hurtful and very painful to the victims. It's rape. And it's not just a violation of the law, it's a violation of someone else's humanity. A person. Whether it's a teacher having intercourse with underage kids, whether it's a soccer coach having sex with underage kids, whether it's babysitters having sex with the kids they baby with, having sex with kids that they babysit. If it constitutes under the law as rape, statutory rape, child abuse, all that, it's a violation of somebody's humanity. See, the law is so lenient in these cases because the lack of evidence concept. If you don't have enough evidence, we're going to have to dismiss it. I know there's so many cases pending in San Bernardino in the 805 area where kids have accused stepdads, uncles, the brothers, people in general, men in general. But because there wasn't enough evidence and it wasn't reporting in a matter of time, and they can't believe the kid over an adult because she's still a minor or the kids are minors, the cases are dismissed or just put on hold until there's enough evidence because of the lack of evidence concept. But we can sit here and say, hey man, give these people life sentences, but they don't. These guys get early release. They get small sentences, lenient sentences, early discharge, even case dismissals because of lack of evidence. Some of them get life sentences. But what that law and the legal system and the district attorney forget is that whether they can prove it or not, somebody has a life sentence already. Somebody already has a life sentence already, and that is the victim. You're giving these individuals, these perpetrators are giving these individuals life sentences of trauma and pain and a memory, because rape isn't a momentary crime. It's a lifetime crime that's in somebody's head that they got to live past. And they can't get past that. People don't heal from that. Life goes on, but they don't heal from that. And yet here we are talking about a case where if there's not enough evidence, not enough witnesses, there's a possibility that this case can get dismissed due to lack of evidence, because that's how all sexual assault cases are really deemed. If there's enough evidence or if there isn't enough evidence, conviction or case dismissed. See, when women are assaulted, even kids, you know what it does to her sense of dignity? It's taken. So is their identity. So is their trust in people. That's the kind of violation that happens to her humanity, to her sense of well-being. And they can't recover from that in just a couple of months, in a year. It takes time. The process of healing takes time when it comes to these kind of crimes. So I'm going to end the video on this note to all these lawmakers and these district attorneys that pay attention, which they probably don't. Every time you give a child predator, a sexual assault predator, all these predators, even these gang members that don't get caught for it, every time you give these individuals lighter sentences, what you're doing is you're telling the women of sexual assault and these kids of sexual assault that their life is negotiable. It all depends on the evidence. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair. Yes, we have laws and legal systems, but we've already seen how the law and legal systems really work. A gang member can kill somebody for a gang crime and committed for the benefit of a street gang, and hey, they're just going to convict them for attempted murder or murder. The gang aspect has nothing to do with it no more. They already took that out. A man can get sentenced to death for a gruesome crime that he committed, but now they took that away from him. He don't have to die no more. He can spend the next 40 years dwelling in the prison cell, and you're telling society that's sufficient enough for you, but you don't care what society feels about it though, right? So when I see a lot of these sexual predators get leniency, not punished, no life sentences, no death penalties, no castration, no nothing, you're pretty much sending a message to society that you're failing. The system is failing, but you're failing the victims. You're failing the women in the case, the victim in the case, but you're failing all sexual victims in society by telling them we're worried about the future of the suspects, then the trauma, then the life and the future of the women that survived it, have suffered from it, or probably have died from it. And I don't think that's right, and I don't think that's fair. But this man allegedly this is what he's really getting charged with. And I think that's sad. And I just want to send a message out there to the women out there. Just protect yourselves. Keep your guard up. I understand you want to have friends, whether it's girlfriends, whether it's boyfriends, friends of girls or friends of boys, but look at how young they're starting to look, man. I remember in prison, every time we seen an S offender and we beat him up, man, he looked old, beat up, ugly, looked like a gargoyle or something. They had like a certain look. This kid just looks like a regular young kid. They're getting younger and younger by the day, thinking that they can commit these kind of offenses and nothing's really going to happen to them because of the law. That's crazy, right? So I wanted to bring this story to your guys' attention. So with that being said, like I always say, it's one life, one chance. We only got one chance to do this right. Let's get it done. Peace.